Yo, what's up you guys? My name is Burd, and welcome to my first ever live comm, as well as my first ever Q&A. And today we are playing some Call of Duty 4 Paintball. Right now it's just a 1v1, the server isn't too active, but this game is a ton of fun. If any of you guys have it, you can go ahead and hit me up on Skype and we can play it together. But yeah, so we're going to start off with this game. And yeah, so let's just hop right into the first question. I'm going to be answering 4 questions from XJMX class real quick. And the first one is, when did you start to do that thing at the schools? Sorry, I didn't know how to word it. So the thing I do at the schools is basically I do a show called The Victims, and it is basically a show about, it follows the stories of 4 high school students. And one of them is the prom queen, which is the popular girl, one's the jock, which is like the popular guy, and then the other 2 are the new girl, which would basically be the new kid, and the victim, which I play. We play stories and stuff like that. So it definitely is, the whole thing is a ton of fun. I first started doing it, well, my parents run the company, so I've been a part of this thing. Like, I've been watching the show since I was a kid, but I actually first started being in the show in January. That's when rehearsal started and everything. So yeah, that answers that question. The next question is, what camera did you use to film your tournament? The camera I used was, I think it was a T3 Li or something like that. It was just an okay camera. It was meant to take photos. And I literally, I didn't need it, it's not even mine. I borrowed it from one of my friends to shoot the video. So I'm not exactly sure. Next question he asks is, what do you prefer to edit more? Call of Duty, IRL, or etc. Honestly, what am I better at? Definitely Call of Duty. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with it. But the thing is, I want to pursue editing as a career. So I'm getting more and more into IRL, and I used to do IRL in real life way more than I did. This guy's getting lit up. Way more than I do now. That's actually how I began editing, was in real life videos. So yeah, and his last question is, what do you prefer? What is your favorite candy? Dominating! My favorite candy is, I believe, Gobstoppers or anything really gummy. I love all that type of stuff. So the next question comes from Flipper Wheat, and he says, what do you think about sniping and knifing and the way FaZe recruited a knifer? Honestly, I think it is insane that we finally got a knifer into FaZe. I could not be happier about it. I mean, it is absolutely huge for the knifing community. It's an extremely big deal. Like, there isn't much else to say about that. How do I feel about it? I am 100% supportive of it. I want to see some feeders even get in there, but I highly doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. Monster kill. I highly doubt it's going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, I absolutely love it, and I completely support it 100%. So the next question comes from a guy named RPG Knives, one of my closest friends, and his name is he asked, who inspired you to edit? A guy named iDuel2010. Some of you guys may know him. He used to be really big back in the day, and then he sort of stopped editing. He quit about a year ago. But seeing his community montages and just the way he edited and all the effects he used, I wanted to edit like that. When I saw that, I was like, I want to be able to do that. And so I started editing these like really stupid montages with Windows Movie Maker, and of course it looked nothing like it, but I mean, it was something, and so I really wanted to get better at it, and so yeah, I went and I bought myself a Mac, and that's how I began editing.
UAV recon standing by. Our UAV is online.
Next question comes from Xavier Pride, and he asks, if you had $1 million, what would you do with it? That's a very good question. I would probably start out by getting myself some gear. By that I mean buying a really good camera and figuring out basically how to use it. That's where I would start. I would next continue by getting myself a top-of-the-line computer. for editing, and I would get all the programs I could. I would then probably, I don't want to sound selfish, but I mean, there's so many things you can do with $1 million. I'd probably start investing it, figure out what I should be doing with the money instead of wasting it all. I mean, I definitely start with the computer and the camera and stuff. But, that's probably what I do with $1 million. Invest it, save it for college. I mean, by then I'd be set for a house. So yeah, that's what I do with $1 million. Next question comes from Risk Aqua, and he asks, "Do you miss me?" I don't know, man. I haven't talked to him in so long. Yeah, man, I definitely miss you. And you should hit me up sometime. The next question comes from Zero Amco, and he asks, "How old were you when you first started editing, and how long did it take you to reach this level of editing?" I first started editing when I was 9 years old. That's when I started really actually using editing programs. It was a very, very simple start, really.
Our UAV is online.
I started out by basically, I found this program on my computer known as Windows Live Movie Maker. Some of you might have heard of it. Dominating! And I started using it, and I was like so fascinated by this thing. Like I could make my own video, and it was all so simple. I had never done something like this before. So that's how I really started everything. I found the program, and I picked up a really crappy flip cam, and just started filming pretty much whatever. Let me get this kid. And I basically started filming whatever, and that's really how I started editing. I mean, but before that, I had this little flip phone that took video, and I would use that, and I would make movies with it. And that's how I started the first videos, but that's not how I first started video editing. How long did it take me? I mean, let's start at 9 years old. I probably started Call of Duty editing at 10 or 11, and here I am today. So probably around 4 years? Yeah, I'd go 4 years. Next question comes from...
Well done. Victory's
This is so vile. That's so vile. He asks, "Who's the biggest YouTuber you've edited for?" The biggest YouTuber I have edited for is technically... FaZe Bobo, but at the time he was only SB Bobo. So yeah, you guys can check that episode out in the description. Next question comes from Wild Assassin, and he asks, "What was the first video game you saw, and what is the first video game you played?" The first video game I ever saw was probably Crash Bandicoot or something like that. The first one I ever played was Tony Hawk's Underground 2. That is probably the first one I ever played. It was a PS2 game that I really, really got into. My dad got a PS2 for his birthday along with that, and I mean, I've been into video games ever since. Dominating! Next question comes from Problem, and he asks, "If you had to go to one place in the world, where would you go?" Honestly, I would probably go to one of those abandoned places, like Chernobyl. I've always wanted to go to Chernobyl, or one of the other, like, you know, creepy places that are always talking to YouTube videos, like the topmost abandoned places. One of those areas. I've always been fascinated by the post-apocalyptic look and the whole entire story as to why the place is abandoned. I'd probably go somewhere there, and I'd bring a camera with me, and I would just film. Because, I mean, those places are so beautiful, but, I mean, a lot of them have very tragic backgrounds. So I would love to go to one of those places if I could. That would probably be one of the places to go. Or I go to some pretty key out in the middle of nowhere with a close friend or something and stay there for a week. So yeah. Next question comes from Nitrous, and he asks, "Do you plan on getting a PS4 when you come back from being inactive?" I honestly have no idea when I'm going next gen. I planned on being there by July, but that was before I knew that I would be inactive and everything, and video games really haven't been a big part of my life lately. I don't really play them that much. I mainly have been sticking to PC. I've been playing a lot of Rust lately, but I actually haven't been on PS3 in probably 2 weeks. It's just, I don't really find it that fun anymore. I don't really have any motivation to play. So I don't really know what I'm getting keys for, but I really would like to get one because it's just a beautiful console. Next question comes from Shadow, and he asks, what started you in editing, and was it outside of Call of Duty? I believe I've technically already answered this question, but as I said, I started because of Ideal 2010. That's what got me into Call of Duty, and then, I mean, just making videos was what I made it with a flip phone, and then pretty much, yeah, I found Windows Live Movie Maker and started making more videos, and that's how I started getting into editing. Which editing software would you recommend to others? Honestly, I think this is sort of cliche, but it would be obviously After Effects. The program just has so many things you can do with it. Just the way it's set up, it seems extremely difficult, but it is so incredibly simple to use it. I mean, everything is laid out for you. It's not as difficult as it looks. That and Final Cut. Final Cut is a beautifully made program. It's very simple to use, extremely simple to use, way simpler than After Effects, even though After Effects is pretty simple as well. Those are the two I'd probably recommend. So yeah.
Dominating!
Deadly Ninja asks, do you think you will edit even after all your life goals? I definitely will. As I said, I want my editing to be my career. I want it to be something that I do for a living. My cousin works with a video production company called Revenue Films, and he basically does what I do with real life stuff. He gets clips, and he has to edit them, and then send them back to the people who want them, and he makes a ton of money off it. That is something I would love to do. So yeah, that's basically what I want to do with my life. So no, I don't think that I will ever stop editing, even after all my life goals, which I don't even really have any set yet. The biggest one I have right now is get married, so yeah. That answers your question. Next question comes from No Time for Knives, and he asks, do you have any other clan goals besides XJMX? Not really. XJMX was a huge goal. Originally, when I first started knife editing, I wanted to be on their team so badly, and now that I'm here, even though that I'm going to have to be leaving or going on the Xbox, whatever you want to call it, very, very soon, within the next 2 days actually, I don't know what I want to be. Really, the next goal I would probably have would probably be just be one of the bigger sniper teams. I think editing for SOAR, that would
Enemy
be great
UAV is airborne!
But not really. I don't really plan on really being in the clan community for too long anymore. It's just not really my cup of tea. I think I'm gonna make this announcement now. I've been thinking a lot of quitting the whole clan editing thing and just going into being a mini editor. The thing about clan editing, episodes are fun to edit, but they take a lot out of you, and editing towards a due date isn't always the funnest thing, and it just puts you in a stress, and it takes the fun out of the editing. But mini edits, there's so many things you can do with them, and they're just so enjoyable because you get to experiment and really watch something come alive and become yours. So that's why I love mini editing. So no, I don't really have any plans goals. SK callouts. Ask what software do you use and when did you start editing? The software I use, I'm just going to answer this question. The software I use is After Effects and Final Cut Pro X. Mainly when I do feeding montages, I use Final Cut Pro X for the syncing and all that. And then once I'm done with that, I will go ahead and I will go into After Effects and I will add my pan and crop and I'll add all my effects and all that awesome stuff that makes the edit really come alive. So yeah. Now we're going to move on to some of the Twitter questions. We only have 2 Twitter questions, and they're both from my good friends Amicus Badger or Lopra, whatever the hell you guys call them. The first question is, what made you start EVO back in the day? And the answer to that is seeing all these clans, like, coming together. I first started knifing because of straight up knives. That's why most editors first start, knifers first started knifing. And it was obviously back during the, it was, honestly, I started back in the AON heyday when it first started. Back when XRS was only at like 100 subs and they were just getting started and all the clans for AON were just getting like on the move. And I met Dan Knives and XRS trolling, and I've been knifing like crazy. I've been doing the All or Nothing montages, And so
We are
because
in
of
danger of losing the
that, people were
battleground.
asking me to join some of their clans, and I'd always told them that, like, no, I want to stay on my own. But then I started talking to these guys, and we all started coming together, and I really wanted to start a clan, and we spent like 2.5 hours coming up with a name, and eventually came down to Evolution of Knives. And yeah, that's basically how Evolution of Knives came to be. His next question is, what do you like editing more, trick shots or feeds?
Time is running out!
Answer to that is trick shots, 100%. I don't really like editing feeds. I honestly don't like it at all. It's extremely hard to sync feeds with knifing. It's a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of effort, and it
Our
sounds very
UAV
lazy,
is
but
online!
it just is. With trick shots, there's so much more you can do with them, and it's so much fun to edit them. I find trick shot editing way more enjoyable, and that's just me. I think some other editors would agree with me, but yeah, that's basically my preference. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Q&A. If
We
you
may
have,
lost
please
the
leave a
battle,
like,
but not the war.
and I will catch you guys real soon. Actually, no. This is probably my last video for a very long time. By a very long time, I mean like maybe 2 weeks. So yeah, I leave on Sunday, and my inactiveness starts on Sunday, and I won't be uploading for a little while. So thank you guys for everything you've given me with this, and I'll see you guys soon. Let's hope so. Bye, guys.